Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Dave's Faves. And today I want to talk to you about this marvelous disc on Channel Classics featuring the music of Benjamin Britten with the Amsterdam Sinfonietta under the leadership of Candida Thompson. We get, oh, wow, my goodness. We get two song cycles, an orchestral work and a songlet, an attachment to one of the song cycles. And this is wonderful because, Britten was, Britten doing Britten was like Bernstein doing Bernstein. You have to get Britten doing his own music. He was a wonderful conductor of his own stuff and a pretty good conductor of some other people's stuff too. And so, that has tended to eclipse all of the other marvelous recordings done by others of his music. And this is a prime example because what you get is Les Illuminations for soprano and strings to poetry by Rimbaud in French. I mean, it's a crazy piece, begins with J'ai sur la clé de cette parade sauvage. I alone have the key to this savage parade, or barbaric parade maybe is better. But in any case, I mean, the poetry is really out there, kind of marvelously out there, and the setting for strings and voice is magnificent. And we're used to hearing it sung as often as not by a tenor. But Britten originally wrote it for a soprano, and here we have the magnificent Barbara Hannigan singing it in the original version, which is great because it does give some variety. Usually you get like Britten song cycles with a tenor, and you get three of them. You get the Serenade for tenor, horn, and strings. You get this thing. You get Les Illuminations, and you get the Nocturne. And it's all kind of runs together, frankly, when the same singer does all three. Not that you have to listen to them all at the same time. You don't. So it's wonderful to hear it done this way. And the playing is really sharp and focused. The Amsterdam Sinfonietta is a crack group of string players. They're just marvelous. So after that, you get the Frank Bridge Variations, a purely orchestral work, or for string orchestra, one of those great works for string orchestra that the British critics love to talk about in the fabulous English tradition of works for string orchestra. And they're right. There is a fabulous, fabulous British tradition of works for string orchestra, this being one of them. The Frank Bridge Variations is really very interesting. It's really a very interesting piece. And one of the things that makes it so interesting, it's just absolutely fascinating, is that the theme itself is not that distinctive. I've listened to it now for decades without really being able to focus on the character of the theme as such. But the variations are fantastic. Absolutely marvelous. I mean, it's one of those, it's like a blank slate that offered Britten the opportunity to do whatever he wanted with this fairly malleable tune. And he created these variations that are so characterful. They're absolutely marvelous. Each one has like they're little vignettes, wonderful little vignettes. I mean, it begins with an introduction and the theme. Then you have an adagio, a march, a romance, an aria italiana, which is absolutely hilariously funny. I mean, you can really hear the soprano twittering and flitting around, the notes. It's a wonderfully crazy thing. Then a bourrée classique, then a Wiener Waltzer, a wonderfully decadent little waltz, perpetual motion, a funeral march that shows the influence of Mahler on the young Benjamin Britten, youngish Benjamin Britten, then a song, chant, and finally a fugue, the final fugue, and finale. It's extremely brilliant. I mean, it's Britten was a composer of just amazing technical virtuosity, and all of that is evident here, especially in this performance, which is it's every bit as good as anything that Britten himself did. Actually, and in some respects, it's better. I mean, it's sharper and punchier than Britten's own performance, and I think the individual variations have a stronger character as a result. It's just wonderful. And then And then last but certainly not least, you get the Serenade for tenor, horn, and strings. That is for tenor, the person, horn, the instrument, and strings, not tenor horn, the instrument alone. And that, of course, is one of the great singing cycle masterpieces, actually written for a tenor, who in this case is the excellent James Gilchrist. And the horn player is Jasper de Waal, the principal horn, at least at that point, of the Amsterdam Concertgebouw Orchestra. Which, I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that, does it? It absolutely can't. And then there's an encore. And there's an encore you get Now Sleeps the Crimson Petal, which is a setting for tenor, horn, and strings that was originally supposed to go into the Serenade, but never did. So, wow, what a lovely Britten collection this is. I pulled this out at random just the other day. I was, doing, housework and whatnot, and I just plonked this on because I hadn't heard it in a long time, and I just reveled in how terrific it is, thinking to myself, there are just so many fantastic performances out there, so many wonderful discs with amazing versions of music that sometimes we know well, sometimes we don't, sometimes we think has been recorded in quasi-definitive versions, perhaps by the composer himself and his erstwhile lover, Peter Pears, or one of those people. And then you put this on and you go, come on, it's as good as anything. And who's going to pay attention to it? Because people just don't. It's a shame. So much fantastic work out there, and it sits on its little plastic circle, and nobody takes it out and plays it. So take it out and play it, for heaven's sake. It's just marvelous. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.